Cup show. Today joining me is Dan Strange from Indian soil, one of our commentators at the World Cup. Dan, thank you for joining us this evening.
Absolute pleasure.
And based in the Netherlands right now, but a two-time Olympian, bronze medal winner, World Cup champion as well, Australian international, Matthew Swan. Thank you very much for joining us.
No worries, good to be here.
Yeah. So guys, so far, Dan, you're there. You know what's all happening. A few surprises yesterday, today. What has the atmosphere been like in the stadium, and also just when you take a walk out onto the field and being that close to the players?
I had the last game off, which it's been so busy, like brilliantly busy. It's been fabulous 10 days or however long we've been doing this now. It's game day 8, but we've had a few off days as well. I just stood on the roof of the Klinger Stadium watching, like you're allowed to stand up there. I didn't sort of scare it. But you're allowed to stand up there. And I've just watched Korea, Argentina from up there. Best game of the tournament so far. And that's a close run thing because there have been so many amazing games. The Koreans' response to winning it was kind of like they'd just won the World Cup. So it's going to be interesting to see how their emotions play out beyond this. It was fun. What a game! Like their penalty corners haven't really fired in this World Cup yet, but they did today, and they've not got the likes of Nicolas de la Torre out, he's been playing superbly. He's stepped up his drag flicking in this competition. Probably one of the only people who really has. It's unbelievable. But seriously, the noise is just amazing. It really is, and that's from both stadiums. I was up in Rockler early in the week. What a stadium that is! And the fans up there are going to be treated to a few more India games.
Yeah, indeed, after a disappointing result yesterday, but we'll get to that in a bit. So, Matthew, you've played in quite a few of these events to make it sound light-hearted, but you've played in a number of World Cups, and you know exactly how important these crossover stages are. And we know that this is something that wasn't the sort of old way of doing it. It's a new introduction. We've seen 3 teams that finished third in their pool, but actually now win this crossover game and progress to the quarterfinals. As a player, how do you feel about this additional game, and what advantage do you think it adds to the tournament?
Well, yeah, as a player, generally Australia would be finishing in the top 2 of their pool. So normally I would think, get rid of this because it gives a team who doesn't perform well in the pool stages a chance to knock you off. But it's been really, really exciting from a spectator's point of view. I've actually really enjoyed it. There's been a lot of upsets as well, so a lot of surprises, and now that creates a lot of excitement around these surprises. How well will these teams that finished third, who've knocked off the second place team, perform when they have to go up against the number 1 spot? That'll be really interesting to see, and whether there's going to be even more upsets. So from a player's perspective, probably wouldn't have been a huge fan, but a spectator's perspective, yeah, big fan of it. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, on the flip side, I know that you're used to finishing top of the pool with the Australian men, but on the flip side, from a player's perspective, you can also say that this format also rewards performance at that period of time, where we've seen a lot of teams. Like let's take for instance France. Yes, they did lose to Germany today, but this is a team that's been on a long journey, and they've shown like a real great like a lot of momentum through the years. So to be penalized maybe for that one game in a pool stage would almost be disappointing, not to see them get that second bite at the cherry. So I think it's quite nice that, you know, on the flip side, you can be rewarded like we saw with New Zealand, Spain, and Korea for your performance on the day, or how you grow in a tournament.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you always say that you want to be finishing playing your best hockey by the end of the tournament. It just means that you have the opportunity to make way more mistakes during the pool phase now, and so for team, or you could be unlucky. You could just have a few bad results. It's not something that's normal for yourself. So it's good in that way that it does give teams the opportunity who have had maybe an unlucky loss, or they've had 3 draws and they've finished third. They haven't lost a game, but they haven't been able to win. So I think that is also a good, that's also really positive for teams that could find themselves in those situations. I mean, it was also quite unlucky for South Africa because they played quite well. They only had that big loss against Australia, but for the rest of the pool, they actually only lost by a goal or they drew to some really good teams. So, but unfortunately, they missed out as well. So I do agree that it does give players and teams a lot of hope that, okay, well, yeah, we haven't been playing as well, but we've got our one chance, and then you move on to your second one chance if you're able to push through to the quarterfinals. So no, yeah, from that perspective, it's not too bad.
Well, I'm not used to finishing top of my pool, so I'll always look at it from the other side. Dan, let's just take a look at yesterday's results. Both games went into shootouts. You know a lot about the Indian men. That game against New Zealand, they'd be really disappointed not only in the result, but also to take the lead, almost fall into the 2-0 trap. And then be disappointing in the shootouts. What does this mean for the team to be out of the quarterfinals, and then also just for the spectators?
Well, I'm going to let you into a secret on this one. I actually watched the first half. I did the mid-game interviews. I then got sent off to do a feature because Mike Absalom was due to be going and doing a feature, and he said he was doing a pre-show today. So if I went, absolutely fine, not a problem. Off we went to a festival. And it was fascinating because I'm watching it with our camera crew, realizing it's gone to a shootout, right? Everyone was updating me on Twitter, and like my dad was updating me on WhatsApp and stuff like this, right? And then so I put it on because I've got an app out here so I can watch it on the TV over here. No one in the place has realized what's going on because they're all watching like a Bollywood singer. You've got about 10,000 people in this festival. No one knows what the score is. And we're suddenly getting like 5 people stood behind my phone, 20 people, 30 people. There's probably about 40 people at the end of it. And as Shamsha took his first shot of 2 to win it, my phone froze. My phone froze. We're all going like this because no one, has it gone in? Has he missed? Stuff. And it was, so that was hilarious. So that was a bit of quite a funny one for me because I'm like you say, I'm covering you a lot, but it was quite a nice sort of experience, bit of an unusual experience. What it means to the team, they've been under huge pressure here. India are always under huge pressure, but there's been a lot of pressure, a lot of talk about how much pressure Harmanpreet's under, an analysis all the time of how Harmanpreet's played, how his penalty corners have gone, all these sorts of things. I mean, Varun scored a penalty corner yesterday. Harmanpreet has been under huge pressure, but the whole team have been under huge pressure. They will be absolutely devastated not to have made it to the quarterfinals. Graham Reid will be devastated not to have made it to the quarterfinals. He's a realist. He is a fabulous coach and he's a realist, and he'll be gutted because, to finish third in Tokyo. And the thing is as well, for this World Cup, you've got 2 fabulous stadiums. You want them full.
Yep.
Really, you probably want them full for the last 8 semi-finals, finals with an Indian team, going probably to the last day in some way, shape, or form, because that creates the spectacle and the audience. So I think for the audience, it's hard for the Indian audience to take because they see it that their teams just perform badly. I mean, the shootout could have gone. It's a throw of the dice. Yeah, that's the brilliant thing about the shootout. It's the throw of the dice. And had it gone the other way, India, carry on. And do they beat Belgium? I saw them in the summer beat Belgium on a shootout, so they very much could have done. It's a shame for the tournament. It's not a shame for Orkala because the Bursa Munda will be full. for any game India play. And I really hope the Indian public do come out and support the team, because they're a great bunch, the Indian team. I've seen the men's team around more than I've seen the women, but they're just a nice group, as the Indian women's team are, but they're just a nice group to sort of be around. And Manpreet's very pleasant, Mandeep's very pleasant. It'll hurt them a lot. How they bounce back will be interesting, because there's some really good teams going up to Rourke, so they're not the only one. You know, the Argentinian men have got to pack their bag, and you know, the likes of Wales and Japan are waiting for them, and they'll want to be taking a scalp. And of course, South Africa. I mean, South Africa lost to an inside edge from Maiko Kaseya, wrong footing Gowan Jones, and that was it. And that was, for me, I can tell you which probably the most uninspiring, unattacking game of the tournament was. It was the first game. And it was bizarre, because I was building this up to be a massive flair event. Here we are in the group of flair. I'm giving it all this, you know, calling the group A the group of flair. And it was this sort of two half-court teams just nullified each other. And then Maiko got a lucky inside edge, and poor Gowan Jones was left scrabbling after playing very well. So, everyone's had difficult results, probably bar the Dutch. Dutch have to play Korea now. And after what we've just seen, as I said, emotion's going to play a part. But for India, it's sad for the World Cup with the amount of investment's gone in here, because it's phenomenal. Sorry, someone's just coming in the back of the commentary box. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you know, the amount of investment, I mean, seriously, if you've ever wondered about coming to India to watch a hockey match, come to the Klinger Stadium or the Bursa. It's such a fab place to come. It's a shame India are out, but all credit to New Zealand as well. You know, you have to give them credit. They won the game.
Yeah, and speaking about New Zealand, we saw them have a sort of roller coaster ride through the pool stages. Matthew, you know them quite well. You've played, I think, your fair share against these guys and with some of them as well. Looking at their performances in the crossover game yesterday, it sort of was a summary of their tournament, where we've seen them have ups and downs, a slow start in the game, and then suddenly we know that they've got powerhouses in their striker line. We know that they've got massive potential, and then it suddenly came together, and then it falls into place in the shootouts. Also, some interesting tactical decisions in the pool phase with that goalkeeper substitution. But what do you think New Zealand will need to do going into the quarterfinal tomorrow against Belgium?
Yeah, that's a difficult one. I mean, Belgium is such a great team, and they've been a really dominant team for, on the world stage for the last 4 years at least. They're the same group that's been together for a long time. So I think New Zealand are going to have a really, really good defensive performance. They're going to have to scramble very well inside the circle, because we all know that Belgium can move the ball incredibly quick across the ground, and they're able to find gaps in your defense at will sometimes. So I think their scramble defense is going to have to be exceptional, and I think their goalie is going to have to play quite a big role. And then, they do have some really talented players. I think Russell on the sideline at the wing half position, he's going to have to play quite a big role for New Zealand in breaking lines and then getting their strikers and their midfielders with some go forward action. So I think he's going to be a pretty big key in their attacking structure. And then, you've got some really, really hard hitters up front. And I think, anything can happen in a quarterfinal as well. So, I look forward to watching it.
Yeah, indeed, anything can happen. But Dan, I want to also just touch in a little bit on the Korean tactical play. I thought that they did a really good job this evening tactically. Their defensive PC in those final minutes as well, to score 2 goals in 10 minutes, in the last 10 minutes of the game. Yeah. What is your take on that? Do you think that they will come out with a really just a strong tactical game against the Netherlands in the quarterfinal, or do you think that they also going to want to?
I think it's difficult for the Netherlands, because the Netherlands haven't really had a tough game yet. Well, they won 4-0, 4-0, 14-0. And in the 14-0, Chile played well. I commentated on that. The Netherlands just played really, really good hockey. And there was one attack in the game where they should have scored another one, Hoydemakers. And if he had just passed the ball around the goalkeeper, it had been 15-0. He went for goal probably because he's a centre forward and he wanted to score some more goals in the competition. And who can deny him that, right? He wants to get his title up going into the finals. Fair play to you. But I think from memory, that was the only time any of the Dutch forwards showed any greed in front of goal. The Koreans, what they showed it, right? I covered their match against Belgium in game 1. And Rick and I doing the commentary, we chat a lot off air, as you'd imagine. And he made a point that had Korea come out the second half, so into the third quarter, switched on, and Belgium not scored that Hendricks drag flick with their first attack of the third quarter, it would have been a really different game. Because if that goes on 10 more minutes and 0-0, it's a game like tonight where Argentina can't put them to bed, right? So you're then going, well, okay, Belgium did, and they won 5-0 and they ran away with it. But I think Korea learned their lesson from that. And I think they learned that at this level, you cannot switch off. And you can't come out half time and just go, oh, I've just had my glass of orange juice, right? Let's have a think about this for 5 minutes. You can't do that. In terms of their tactics, we're seeing great number one running generally. De La Torre is I've covered him a lot in Pro League and I haven't been as impressed by a stretch as I've been here. He has been exceptional. They did well to keep running him down, but they've got that down pat. What they've changed well as well is they've got Jang scoring goals at the other end, and they just don't give up. Jang also throws some brutally long aerials. Like watching them, I'd watched them on TV, but watching them from the roof, they're scarily long, and that just keeps the game stretched as well. It means teams can never relax, because if he throws one of them and one of their defenders forwards is stood on the baseline, it really it keeps the game wide open. Tactically against the Dutch, they've got to go for it surely, but it's going to be interesting, isn't it? It slightly comes down to, can they get penalty corners? Can Jang put them away? I had a feeling on the shootout, and I am going to air this here because I was having a joke with a couple of umpires during the shootout. I had said, if it goes down to Lee Nam Yong's shootout effort, right, to win it, if you remember, he scored one against Christian Patak, you may not remember, 2019, where he did the over-the-top, flipped it up and dinked it over, and I'm going, I think he's going to do this. And sadly, it all got finished before they needed it. But I just wanted to air that because they said they wouldn't back me up on it.
Well, we'll see if it goes into shootouts in the quarterfinals.
That'd be incredible to see that if he does.
Can you imagine the bravery to do that in a World Cup quarterfinal against the world Olympic champions? Against the Netherlands. So, of course, they're not playing Belgium, they're playing Netherlands, but still pretty decent.
Matthew said we start the quarterfinals off with Australia taking on Spain. Spain had a tough one in the crossovers where they went into shootouts. Of course, really pleased that they came through beating Malaysia. But Australia have really looked strong from the start of this tournament. However, I have heard from other Australians, and I'm keen to hear your take on it, that there are some weak points. And we lost Matthew.
He's refusing to take that
to talk about the weak points.
Australia got any week points at all? Yeah. That's such an Australian way to do. No, we are not airing any views.
We do not have weak points. I'm out.
I'm out. I'll have to get Rick in. Sadly,
okay, well, Dan, maybe you can help me with that. But I've heard that a lot of Australians believe that we haven't really seen the best of this Australian team yet. That there are still some weaknesses that they know need improvement, but possibly haven't been tested yet in this tournament. What do you think?
I'm going to disagree with the last thing you said. They have been tested in this tournament. They were tested by Argentina.
Yes.
Where Argentina did Argentina's best thing. They just slowed it down towards Sicilio. Let's walk the ball forward. Let's play at our pace. Let's drag them out. Let's do our thing. Argentina weren't able to do that as well against Korea tonight because Korea hassled them and frustrated them more, but equally they still went to score 5 goals. So they're obviously doing something right. And they I found them to be a bit more attacking, generally sort of faster pace tonight. That for me, so I came out, I did the Australia-France game on day one, where it was 8-0, and Australia looked, you just went, oh, okay, we're seeing the favourites for the World Cup right here. World number one. They've just absolutely, T3, the goalkeeper for France, was superb. I think he made 9 saves in the match and still conceded 8 or something like that. With Australia, it's hard to say they've got weaknesses. He's back. Matt, we thought you would flatly refuse to take a comment about Australian weakness and just refuse to carry on with the show.
Yeah. I wasn't about those questions. So
I'll let Matt answer the question. Are Australia, do they have any weaknesses? That was the question.
Yeah, that's quite a difficult one. I mean, every team's got some sort of weakness, but I feel like Australia is such a power. It's such a powerful team. Incredible. You've also got some great. Yeah, for my minimal weaknesses, I guess. Yeah, I'm going to be probably quite biased.
Matthew, we can't really hear you so well, and we've also lost the visual, so I don't know if you could maybe try again.
Well, whilst he's doing that, Marsha, one thing I will say just on the ground here, which I watched Australia, I think it was after the France game training. I can't actually remember. It was before or after. And I was chatting away to one of their support staff again. It's been a brilliant but long week, as you can imagine, because it's so intense, like you said, all the crowd noise. And I turned around to them on the sidelines. I said, "Can I just make a comment?" He went, "Go on." I said, "You're so positive as a team." And he went, "What do you mean?" I said, "Just the way you talk to each other is just so nice. It's such a nice, pleasant atmosphere, and that tells you they're a good team together."
Yeah.
Because it wasn't, they weren't being twee, it wasn't, oh, well done, Matty, pat on the back, all that. But it kind of, it was like a really nice bunch of mates who were there to support each other and just talk well to each other, and had a really interesting conversation sort of back and forth about that. But that in the latter stages of any competition, you've got to have that team cohesion. There are other teams out here that clearly have, I mean, the Belgians have that on the pitch, on and off the pitch. You can always see they're a good bunch of friends as well as teammates. England are incredibly positive. I've not seen this positive an England team, either in their play, their demeanor, their way they're going about with talking to the media, or the whole package. Never seen this positive an England team. But going back to Australia, that very much comes across. And to be fair, I think when Matt was playing, they always had that positivity around them, because I think it's something Colin Batch and others, Rick brings to them. But in that way, I think that is Matt. Are you there or not?
Yeah.
Oh, you are. Sorry, I thought your audio still cut out. Matt, how do you find that with this Australian team? Are they more positive than they've ever been in terms of how they are together? Were you always like that as a squad?
Yeah, I think culturally that's what we try to achieve an environment where everyone can go. I'm actually not sure if you can hear me or not. So, but I think we created an environment that everybody can tell whether you're try and make sure that the level that everybody is playing on, everybody has equal opportunities, everybody has a choice. Because of that, we encourage everybody. To keep going if they've made mistakes. And it's definitely something that Australians
Matt, Can I just...
Matt, we can't hear you so well. But...
Just go out and come back in again, because I think what you're trying to say, we all want to hear.
Yes.
You might just want to turn off and come back in.
Well, while Matt is fixing his connection, we'll kick off the quarterfinals tomorrow with Australia, Spain, Belgium, New Zealand, and then and those will be the 2 quarterfinals for the day. Well, on the 25th, we'll do England, Germany, and the Netherlands, Korea. I have no doubt that these are going to be also extremely exciting games. I am also imagining a few surprises in the sense of performances that we've seen so far in the tournament. So you've seen teams that have looked really strong, really convincing, and some teams that are looking like they're growing into the tournament. I do think that we are expecting 1 or 2 surprises in the end result. What do you think, Dan?
I was just thinking it through. The game we haven't been mentioned from the crossovers was Spain-Malaysia, and that was another. You had to feel for Malaysia. The happiness around the Malaysian fans here has been one of the highlights of the World Cup for me. We got loads of Malaysians on our crew, and they were bouncing with how well their team were playing, and all bar Faisal Sari slipping and back sticking the ball, which cancelled out that 3rd goal of theirs, and it could have been very, very different. And they got some really exciting young players. Sharma, who just came in, just amazing in the shootout. Anyway, back to your question. I can't see a shock in the quarterfinal. I think Australia will beat Spain, unless Spain really suddenly come alive. I think Australia will beat Spain. I think Netherlands will beat Korea, because I think unless Korea can recuperate from the emotional high of tonight, which if they can, brilliant, but I think it would go with form otherwise. And I think Belgium win their quarterfinal unless New Zealand again can get over the emotional high of yesterday. The one I can't work out is England-Germany. I can't work, and I'm not going to call it, because I know a lot of English people, obviously, because I come from England. And I know quite a few of the German team as well, so I wouldn't live it down.
I think what's your take on that one? Who do you think will win England-Germany quarterfinal?
That's a very difficult one. I mean, we all know that Germany is incredible when it comes to the end of the tournament. They're just a fantastic. They've just proven that they're a fantastic team to follow when they improve through the tournament. They learn, they develop as a group, and they've done it for a number of years in a number of big tournaments. However, there are some very, very talented players in the English men's team. Very, very fast, very skillful, and I think from a attacking point of view, I think the English men probably have the step up over the German defence. So if England can get inside that attacking third with some speed, I think they're going to score some goals. So my pick at the moment is England, but I've got a couple of I've got a good teammate who plays with me at Kleiner, Switzerland, and I think I want Germany to win for him.
That would be Marco Milkau.
Marco Milkau, yeah.
Who scored tonight, having not scored and been slightly off form, scored a real opportunity goal. It was a very good goal tonight.
He's well, when he does score, they're really good. I thought that one where he got a stroke for against Belgium, I thought, well, this was one that was going to go in, but he was obviously fouled, and then they got a stroke. So,
well, I think Germany is definitely a team that we know that they've got powerhouses up front as well.
Christopher Ruhr with his speed and skill.
Yeah, and we haven't really seen him on fire yet in this tournament. We saw one really a cracker of a goal in the pool stage, but I don't know. I think there's still a lot more for him to show in this tournament. So, but playing against a team that's also tactically good, like England, where they're also traditionally known. Dan, you know this better than I do, but they're traditionally known for playing a good tactical game when it comes to this stage in the tournament. We've seen that in the past where they've been slightly unlucky in the end results, but you do see a different tactical play where they do a lot of analysis, of course. So I think this is going to be one that's going to be end-to-end potential.
Has it been mentioned on the show yet about the Bazball obsession over here with England hockey? Has that been mentioned? I don't know.
No, tell us about it.
Okay,
Tell us about it.
So you pick up the difference over here is, right, you pick up the paper every day and you open the back page, it's like, oh, you might have a bit of cricket. And then, so this morning was open the back page because it's not on the back page because that's advertisements. You open it and you're like, oh, okay, India lose to New Zealand, and that's the big story. And then the next story next to it today in Times of India and Indian Express, I was reading Indian Express originally, was about Sam Ward and his comeback from injury and all the amazing stuff. He's such an inspirational guy, Wardy. And the way that they sort of bring that all to life. But one thing they talk about in every article is England play the hockey version of Bazball, which I think we've got to change to Rev Ball if we're going to go with it. You know, if we're really going to sell this as a sport, we've got to go with this, call it Rev Ball and just get on with life. But but with it, I get that, and it's an easy comparison. They are the most attacking, most positive England team I've seen. I was going to say in my lifetime, but I actually went and watched England 1986 when I was young, and I don't have any recollection of how good that team was, and they made it to the World Cup final. So I can't say in my lifetime, but they're the most attacking team I've seen. Definitely the most attacking team I've seen here in India from an England point of view. Yeah, and the Bazball comparison is a nice one, and the way they go, they just seem to play, you know, heads up hockey, attacking hockey, handbrake off, go and actually take teams on. The point Matt made, I think, is the crucial one, which I think when you're analysing games, if you look at the teams alongside each other, both teams have got very good goalkeeper, or England, two very good goalkeepers. In fact, Germany, two very good as well, Danneberg as well. I think you're right that actually it could be the pace at the back for Germany that could be their unsticking, but it's a real fine margin. I mean, Liam Sanford and players like that at the back for England probably will fancy their pace a bit more because very long stride, Liam. That I agree with you. I think that might be where the issues come for Germany if there are issues. A cracker of a game. And Ruhr, he's not scoring many goals. I still think he's playing pretty well in this tournament, to be brutally honest. I think him and Prince seem to have like a telepathic link up. I know they both play for Rockvised Colne, but they seem to be like this big brother, little brother, where they just know where each other's going to be. And Nicholas Vellen, who became a dad during the Belgium game. And since has scored 4. I mean, welcome to the world. I don't know if he had a son or a daughter. I didn't have to see that. But welcome to the world, new child. Daddy's just scored a hat for the World Cup. If you want to get out of trouble with your wife for not being at home when your child's born, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, he's a brave man.
Well, that's a lot of commitment. And hopefully we also see that in the quarterfinal on the 25th against England. But gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me on the show today. We need to wrap it up. It has been wonderful talking about the games that we've seen, but also looking forward to the quarterfinals kicking off tomorrow morning. So thank you.
Thanks, guys. Take care. Lovely to see you.
Thanks.